Celebrating the lives of young refugees living in South Africa, well, Lawyers for Human Rights, the Jesuit Institute of Southern Africa and probono.org are embarking on a collaboration to do just that. This is with today being World Refugee Day. Let's discuss this more with Abigail Dawson, an Advocacy Coordinator at the Jesuit Refugee Service. Very good to have you with us, Abigail. Tell us a little bit more about what it means in celebrating the lives of young refugees. What needs to be done?
Thank you, and evening, everyone. Thanks for having us on the show. As today we commemorate and celebrate all refugees, a number of organizations will be bringing light to a specific group of refugees, particularly young refugees born to refugee and asylum-seeking parents who were either born in South Africa or have lived here for a majority of their life and have not been recognized, and their legal stay in South Africa is uncertain due to various gaps in citizenship law. So we will, over the next 5 weeks, be profiling these ambitious and inspiring young people and highlighting the various gaps in the law and various provisions and solutions that could be put in place to really seize the opportunity for these young people to be fully a part of South Africa. And
tell us what you see in many of these young people.
Many of them have managed to get into tertiary education and, you know, be it accounting, PR, engineering, and because of not having an identity document, have struggled with other services, including accessing banking services, driver's licenses, and stable employment. These are all young people that have either lived here from a very young age or were born in South Africa and know no other place. So, you know, their friends, their families, the languages, the places they know no other place, and they are not being recognized as citizens, or they're in the process of needing to be recognized, but due to various backlogs and most recently the closure of the citizenship section in Home Affairs, have been unable to do so. So really we recognize it as a lost opportunity for these young people living in South Africa.
And it's important that they get celebrated. I mean, so many of them leave their homes. They don't want to do that. They are finding themselves in desperate situations, and they find it hard to be assimilated because there's such a fear factor, isn't it, when dealing with many of these refugees?
Exactly. And, I mean, in some instances, they are brought here under the decision of their parents, obviously, as you said, in very scary circumstances. But for many of them, they've been born into the South African community and are still labeled as a refugee or asylum seeker, having been born here and really knowing no other place.
And the things that you are open to abuse, aren't you, when you are stateless and have nowhere to turn?
Yeah, so these young people are, because of the various gaps in the law, are at risk. Some of them are stateless and some of them are at risk of being stateless, which means essentially it's something that's not well known, but it is preventable. You really have no protection by any state, and it is something preventable, and it's purely on the basis of gaps in the law. So what this campaign is really trying to do is to show the practical ways in which a system can allow for these young people to be fully assimilated and really, you know, contribute and be a part of communities.
Do you get the feeling that there really is a will and a way to get this done?
I mean, that's what we're hoping to do, is really to work alongside young people. These young people are, you know, in South African universities, their friends are South Africans, and I think the narrative has always been this, like, to divide and to show difference, and that's what we're trying to not do in this campaign, is to really show that these are young people, a part of the South African community.
And it's an important thing to
Home Affairs, and obviously there's major issues of capacity, and I think the lockdown and COVID-19 has, exacerbated a number of these issues. So there's very clear practical things that could be done to prevent further backlog.
And it's important that this is tackled now, because it's not, sadly, going to get better. It's not going to end soon, this refugee crisis across the world, because man, in many instances, is not very nice.
No, you're completely right, and that's why I think we have to be practical about what can be done now. And COVID is, not, I think we all thought it would be something that by next year we would maybe have resolved, and that's becoming clear that it's not. So we need to continue our work despite what's going on.
Important work, and thank you very much for sharing it with us, Abigail Dawson.